Welcome guys to World of Tanks, back with Verknechter. We're going to look at a tank review of the M4Rev, and we're here going to compare it to the T-34-3, which is probably the best tank to compare it with, just because of the alpha. Every other tank you'd want to compare it with, the STA-2 or the CDC or any of those tanks, they have 240 alpha, whereas this French tank and this medium tank both have 390 alpha guns, so it's probably the most apt comparison. Let's start with the DPM. The M4Rev has slightly more DPM. It's not really noticeable. I mean, 85 DPM more is nothing really, but where it starts to shine is the penetration. It has 25 pen more, which makes it very dangerous to every tier 8 tank, and it can even go up to tier 9, possibly even tier 10 weak spots. So as I said, both have 390 alpha. The rate of fire obviously on the M4Rev very slightly better. And when it comes to the caliber, the T-34-3 has a 122mm gun, whereas the M4Rev only a 105mm gun, so you will find it difficult to overmatch some of the for example, the Swedish TDs and stuff. When it comes to ammo capacity, I think the M4Rev has more than enough. The T-34-3 might possibly run out in some matches, but I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. Anyway, when it comes to the gun handling, after the buff, the M4Rev has excellent gun handling, and it shows here in the comparison. You can see just everything is better. When it comes to the gun depression, I mean, obviously 10 degrees far outstrips the 5 degrees of the T-34-3. However, when it comes to mobility, the T-34-3 is much faster in every direction, and while it does have a slightly worse power to weight ratio, it has so much better terrain resistance that it probably won't be noticeable. And also when it comes to the armor, the M4Rev has basically no armor. I mean, there is some chance of a bounce when it comes to the gun mantlet and this slightly angled part of the turret, but it's not going to happen very often. Whereas the T-34-3 actually has fairly good turret armor. As you can see, it's very sloped. So yeah, that is probably everything that needs to be said about these two. Gun is better on the M4Rev, mobility and armor is better on the T-34-3, and when it comes to concealment and stuff, I mean, I think the data here is very shallow, so we're not going to go into it. Anyway, let's look at a review. Well guys, I think this map is going to get boring pretty soon, but anyway, we're in Sand River again. We're on defense, and basically every time you defend Sand River, you're probably going to win. I think it's very difficult to actually lose in this sort of matchup. Now, as you can see, Verknechter wasn't paying attention at the beginning. He's just sitting there. Not sure what he's doing. Don't know if I want to know it. But anyway, there we go. We're in the game now. So very quick overview. As I said, 200mm of penetration with 390 alpha and 250 on the premium ammunition, the heat ammunition. Now if you take other tanks, for example the STA-2, the STA-2 actually has 275mm heat penetration, which makes it, I think, the best out of the tier 8 premium medium tanks. Yeah, and 1,400 hit points, and like I said, not really any armor to speak of. When it does get on a mountain, and when it does show its 10 degrees of gun depression, then maybe you can bounce something, but it's not a very... it doesn't happen very often. Anyway, we're going to load heat and go for this IS-8, probably. We do have to be careful of artillery. There's an SU on the other team. And we don't want to use every bit of our premium ammunition, as there is a defender on the enemy team, and in fact he's just here. Those tanks do have quite a bit of armor, but we're probably going to need it for the IS-3. Anyway, pretty standard tier 8 game. No tier 9s, no tier 10s, which is always nice. And we did show some low tier, well, where we were bottom tier before. So now we're just going to show one where we're top tier. So our first target now seems to be the T-25-2. But anyway, we're in a pretty bad position. This isn't really where you want to be fighting from. There we go. Maybe we can get shots on that T-150. That's a juicy target. It seems to be a stock T-150. There we go. There's that Cheery. T-43 bounced, which shows that you can bounce small caliber guns. Can't really see where it bounced. And Verknecht is getting quite annoyed in the chat as the KV-85 is blocking him. Another one into the VK. Nice roll of 400. And that is exactly how you want to trade with the M4Rev. Just every time you're reloaded, you pop out, you take a shot, you don't get shot in return. Because like I said, even the small tier 6 guns will probably be able to penetrate you. And now we're loading heat for the defenders. We don't really want to take any chances. We don't want to trade health too early, if at all possible. But if we can get a trade like this with the Cheery, then we're going to take it, obviously. 119, I believe it was, versus 438. We can take that trade. Now is it back to Verknechter's favourite position in the middle? It certainly looks like it. That Schwarzpanzer, basically the Mutz, I don't think there's any changes about it, is down there, and we need to take care of it, as he's going to spot us all day long. That was a bad shot into the tracks. It is. Obviously, the tracks will just absorb the heat ammunition, and Verknecht is not really doing a good job of aiming for weak spots here. He could have gone for the turret, but if we can keep him tracked, then all the better. Nice shot. And that's what you want to do. If you're going for tracks, you want to load APCR or AP, as the heat shells will just get absorbed. And you can see, even though it has a fairly low DPM, it does rack up damage pretty quickly with that. Nice 390 alpha. Really deals damage. Only 4 tanks left. If we can get the arse of the defender. Very nice, beautiful. Maybe track him in the go. No, doesn't happen. And another bounce from the T-43. But obviously, Russian side armor. We actually only tracked him, it seems. No, we didn't track him. Don't know what we hit there. But anyway, that shot went nowhere. Come on, give us 4k damage, we can do it. Nice roll into the SU and then finish off the RT. That would be a nice finish. And that was just the worst outcome we could hope for. We didn't get him, but he rolls fairly nicely, killing off our loader. Come on, one more shot. One more shot. We can do it. Oh, 37 to go. Come on, Verknechter. Excellent. That's the 4k damage under our belt. Okay guys, so here are the end plates. We've got a Mastery class badge, obviously. We've got Confederate and High Caliber for doing the most damage. So we got 4,313 damage in, which is almost twice as much as the next one. We got 2 kills and 1,418 base experience. Now this translates into 4,464 experience on the double, but obviously this was with premium as well. Now we did make 100,000 credit, which is just amazing. 100,000 credits. I'd like to have that every game, please. Thank you very much. We did also do a bit of spotting and a bit of tracking damage, which tracks up to 1,426. So we got about 5,700 damage total. Anyway guys, I do hope you liked this review. Do click that subscribe and like button, and I'll see you on the next one.